Today, we launch the 4th Islamophobia in Australia report, which covers data between 2020 to 2021 and compiles data from 2014.
8 years ago, I founded the Islamophobia Register Australia. It was in response to anecdotal evidence suggesting a rise in incidents of Islamophobia in Australia. Amongst my circle of friends and family, particularly those wearing the hijab, Islamophobia was prevalent. There was a clear difference between the experiences of the Muslims that I knew and the official data on Islamophobia.
8 years on, the Islamophobia Register Australia has published 3 academic reports, with the 4th report being released today. The Register has grown to become the leading organisation tracking and tackling Islamophobia in Australia. The Register assists victims of Islamophobia with legal, advocacy and mental health support. In the years between 2014 to 2021, a total of 930 incidents of Islamophobia were reported to the Register. This is only the tip of the iceberg and does not reflect the reality of Islamophobia faced by Australian Muslims. Islamophobia can take many forms. Of all in-person incidents, verbal intimidation constituted half of those reported to the Register. The majority of those victims have been women, making up 78% of the total reports. 70% of the time, men were the perpetrators. As for online cases, Islamophobic statements, with the inclusion of death threats, were the most common type of online incidents reported.
The Islamophobia Register Australia published its research reports in collaboration with Charles Sturt University. As the expert researchers tracking Islamophobia, we firstly verify, compile and code the reported incidents. Then we quantify the results through descriptive and in-depth analysis. Doing this analysis for about 8 years now, we are able to see certain characteristics and trends of Islamophobia in Australia over the course of time. Vulnerable people, especially women with the hijab and children, bear the brunt of Islamophobia. Victims are harassed in guarded and crowded places like shopping centers and public transport. It's concerning that surrounding people don't take action, and we see a steady drop in bystander reporting.
With the release of the 4th report, the Register launches an innovative interactive map on Islamophobia in Australia, created by the Spatial Data Analysis Network and Charles Sturt University. It shows all incidents reported to the Register since 2014 until 2021. This visual tool helps identify hotspots as well as common incident types. The data can be viewed through multiple lenses, for example by severity or by year. As we zoom into New South Wales, for example, a dense pocket of incidents is found. By clicking on the specific incident, further details on that incident will show up.
There are over 800,000 Muslims in Australia, many of whom experience Islamophobia. We are a service that is run by members of the Australian Muslim community for the Australian Muslim community. Our staff have lived experience of Islamophobia, which not only fuels our passion for combating it, but also helps us to connect and empathise with victims of Islamophobia more deeply. Beyond support services to victims of Islamophobia, we can also offer support to witnesses, as well as training to allies of our community on how to identify and challenge Islamophobia and how to ensure inclusivity. Australian Muslims should not have to feel afraid of being harmed or be discriminated against simply on the basis of their faith. We would like to see Islamophobia being talked about more prominently, particularly amongst change makers.
If it's not reported, count it as if not lived. Islamophobia continues to have a devastating impact on everyday Australian Muslim lives. The more Islamophobia is reported, the better we can identify and deal with it.